Anybody can pick up whenever they want. I'm just reading somebody, though, telling us that our affiliate in Texas is playing the wrong show.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Neat. We are live.
My point to you, Michael, is that when you're so talented at so many different things, that you can have a big radio show, and that's still like maybe not, it's not even the first thing that you have to lead with. Somebody knows about you.
Well, here's what's interesting. A lot of people, every market I go to, they book me for radio. You know, I get a lot of radio bookings, and the club is like, how do you do that? I'll go, well, I'm from radio, so I know a lot of radio people. I know a lot of programmers still.
Yeah.
But I was in Houston. That's where I started. I did overnights for Paul Cubby Bryant, who was the music director at Z100 back in the day. Now he does KT, or now he's on the light station.
Can I stop you there for a second? So when I saw that you'd done Houston, and I didn't remember ever talking about this with you, you must know Rula.
I love Rula. Yeah, Rula was intern when I was at 104 KRVE, and her parents, I think her father just passed away, but her parents owned a restaurant that we would all go to.
Yep.
And I remember at her restaurant with Paul Cubby Bryant, he told me, the first person to tell me about the Backstreet Boys. He goes, this group is blown up in Canada, and they're about to come to America, and I think they're going to be big. And that's the first time I ever heard of Backstreet Boys. So Paul Cubby Bryant was the youngest radio DJ in a major market that did nights, and he was the music director of 104, and I was his intern. And then they put me in overnights, and from overnights I went to Austin, and then became then became nights and afternoons, and then went to Miami, and that's when everything just blew up. I did afternoons in Miami. I was APD and music director in Miami, and this is when Miami was Miami. Like Wild on the E was happening. Brooke Burke was hosting it. She would be at the clubs that I was at. I mean, it was insane.
So okay. So now you're traveling the country doing stand up.
Yep.
You've obviously done other TV. You've got a new show coming out on
Apple. Yeah, it's called Amber Brown. Bonnie Hunt, the legendary Bonnie Hunt, casted me for it. She wrote it, directed it. That was crazy. So I turned in the audition, right? And I get good feedback from my agents. They go, "Oh, they're talking about you." And then they said, "Hey, they want you to do a callback." So usually when you do a callback on Zoom, it's just the casting people. You know, it's a couple casting people. The Zoom comes on, it's Bonnie Hunt, right? She goes, "Hey, Michael, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, my God," you know, like. And then the other screens start opening up, and it's the Apple network, like the executives at Apple. So this is not like a normal callback. This is like, oh, you're really being considered, so you need to knock this out of the park, because everybody is watching.
It's probably better that you didn't know that was going to happen, because if that's me and I know all that's on there, I'm sweating bullets and I'm nervous. But maybe because it's, here we go.
Because it's showtime.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nothing. It's just like being on stage. Once you're on, you're on.
Yeah.
So it did great, I thought. And then I didn't hear anything for 2 months, and then I get a call like, "Oh, you're in the show, but we cast you for a different character you didn't even audition for." So I was like, okay. So boom, there it was. And then we shot. I was supposed to be in 2 episodes, because Bonnie called me, goes, "This is your first big shot. I'm going to write you in the first 2 episodes, and we'll see how it goes." You know, because I want to be honest. If you can't act, we're not going to put you in, you know. I was like, cool, I get it.
Wow.
They put me in 9 out of 10. So it went really well, and I'm excited, yeah.
Wow. And she said to you, "This is your first big shot." Like, that's like, oh, man, okay.
How long is that 2 months when you just don't hear anything? The ghosting has got to be the worst part, right?
Here's what's interesting is they tell you to do it and then forget it, right? You do audition, because 99% you don't get. So honestly, I forgot about it. You know, because I do so much stand-up. I'm not a full-time actor, so I don't depend on, that's not my paycheck all the time.
Right.
So I'm like, I was more worried about the special I'm putting out. I was more worried about, my kids are 5 and 2, so I'm like watching Bluey nonstop 24/7. You know, a little Peppa Pig. I'm playing Peppa Pig. So literally what I love, and I moved to Vegas, which after, we'll get into the COVID story, but after that whole incident, we reevaluated our lives, moved closer to our in-laws, and we live in Vegas. And what I love, there's no pressure of the industry in you. It's just you. When I do audition, I do it, and then nobody cares. Literally, nobody cares. Where in LA, you do an audition, you go out, "Oh, did you have an audition? Did we audition for the same?" I tell everybody, it's like if everybody worked at McDonald's and everybody was trying to be the manager. The whole city works and you're talking the same thing. "How'd you make your burger? Who's working fries today?" You know, so it's that kind of, once we moved, the pressure came off.
You can't get away from it.
Yeah, and I got more creative.
Yeah.
Way more creative.
When you started doing, let's go back for a second, because when you started doing radio years ago, was that an end goal, or was this sort of this is my way to get into entertainment?
All I ever wanted to do was radio.
Okay.
I worked for Clear Channel back in the day.
So did
in the day. I worked for Clear Channel, and then I saw how they treated people.
You say whatever you say whatever you want.
I saw how they walked in and eliminated jobs.
Yeah, I was
three times when I was there, and I was the only one that made it. Like all 3 times. So I go, it's just a matter of time before it's my time.
Sure.
So I always love radio, but let me add on, because my dad always taught me, be more important in your job. Always know, if you working somewhere, know how to do 4 jobs there, so it's harder to eliminate you. So I became the APD, I did the music, I scheduled the music, and I was afternoons, and the ratings were great, but I was like, still, they could come in at any time.
Yep.
And so I said, I had a job offer from E! To do television. I never did television before, and I said no for 6 months because all I wanted to do is radio. Then I saw the last cut where they eliminated literally everybody at the radio station and just kept me. I go, I'm going to take this job in LA, but I still want my radio show. Because I kind of had them, because they didn't want to eliminate the full station.
Right.
I had ratings, great ratings. I was known. And so they kept me, and I said, I'm not moving unless, I told E, I'm not moving unless I can keep my radio show. Because when you sign your first television contract, what a lot of people don't know, you're on no matter what TV contract, if you're new, you sign a 3-year deal, but the first year, every 3 months, they can let you go. So literally, they have 4 opportunities to let you go, and you can't do anything. So I go, I'm not going to go through that and then lose my job in radio.
Yeah.
So I said no to them for that reason for 6 months. Finally, the head, Ted Harbor at the time, calls me and goes, all right, what's it going to take for you to be down here? I go, I need to do my radio show. I need a radio studio there. He goes, oh, we got radio studios down there. We got Ryan Seacrest, and we'll just give you the other studio. So literally, they gave me Ryan's production studio that's around this size, because he has massive studios.
Right.
And that's when it became a reality that I could be successful, because Ryan was on American Idol, biggest show in the world, and he would walk past me every single day and go, hey, man, what's up, yo? Because he knew who I was from radio, too. And then I'll go, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. Because when he's so touchable now, he's so real. When I lived in Miami, I was like, oh, I could never do that.
Right.
But then when you see this little dude pass you every single day, you're like, oh, man, I can do that.
Right.
There's nothing more special about him than me.
Right.
And then I grew into, you know what? I don't want to just be a host anyway. I want to do stand-up. I want to do acting. So every opportunity that came, I would try it out. And if I'm not good, I would get out fast. I love to fail fast. That's my whole motto. If you're going to do something, fail fast.
That's what's wrong with us. We keep failing and failing
Slowly.
and failing.
But you're still in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We keep showing up. And I think it's kind of like on Office Space. Like, eventually we're just not going to receive a paycheck.
Right.
And it'll work itself out.
Right.
We'll still show up.
They'll move us down to storage B.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what happened, is just that, and that got me to expand. And comedy, I was on Chelsea, and Joe Coy was like, oh, you need to be a comedian.
So yeah, because that's when I first became aware of you, was when you, on the Chelsea Handler show, they would do the round table and talk about topics, and it was...
And I was not funny on that show.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like, how did you end up being on that panel?
So before they even started Chelsea, I was Chelsea came on my radio show, because I was doing it from from LA to Miami.
Okay.
She had a show in Miami, and she goes, ticket sales at that time were slow, and she goes, can I come on your radio show? I said, of course. She sold out 2 shows on my radio, because my show was like, the Ryan Seacrest of Miami, that was my show back then. It was big. It was big. Okay. So she sold off of my show being on, she sold out 2 shows. And then she says, if I ever can do anything for you in the future, I will do it. And she kept her word. So I'm in a meeting. My boss, Ted Harbor, calls me up and goes, hey, they were dating, Chelsea and Ted Harbor. And he goes, I have Chelsea on the line, starting a show called Chelsea Lately. What it's going to be is a bunch of comedians making fun of celebrities, but we need you, since I wasn't a comedian at the time, we need you as a reporter to defend the celebrities, because I don't want everybody crapping on these celebrities. And the reason why you're good for it is because you got to interview them, so you can't crap on them.
Right.
So that's how my whole shtick became the celebrity ass kisser, you know, because that's a shtick they created in Ted Harbor's to justify why I'm defending these celebrities. Right. And I wasn't a comedian anyway, so my responsibility was not to be funny at all. And I wasn't funny. So then it turned to everybody on the round table crapping on me, which brought up my stock, because the whole show would be about me, even though they were dogging me the whole time. I didn't care, and they knew I was fine with it because I wasn't a comedian anyway. I didn't care if people thought it wasn't funny. And then 3 years into that show, when Chelsea was at her peak, Joe Coy was taking off, and he goes, "Hey man, you're really funny," because me and him hung out all the time. And he says, "I'm gonna take you on tour." And I did a little bit of stand-up, and he goes, "I'm gonna show you how to do this." And he took me on tour, and that's when things exploded. 3 years, I toured with him, and now it's like I just released this special. I self-funded it, and
I saw it, by the way.
Yeah,
it's good. You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. It's over 175,000 views. It's only been out a little bit. And here's the thing. When I put it on my YouTube page, I only had 3,000 YouTube subscribers. I think I'm about to hit 70,000 YouTube subscribers in a month. In a month. So it's like everything. I bet on Joe Coy was like, "You got to bet on yourself." And I bet on myself.
I love these stories.
Yeah.
How have we not heard these? Like, it makes me love you even more.
Yeah, it's just, I got to the point where I shot the special in February, and then I go, I needs to come out March 17th, because that's 2 years before that I went into the hospital with COVID. So it has to come out on that day, and my agents are like, we don't have enough time to pitch it. I go, look, I'm paying for it all. I'm going to bet on myself on this one, because I want to own, this one's so special to me, I want to own it. And it was the right move. It's like now big networks are calling and say, can we get the next one? I'm up for all these, like, I wouldn't be like, to me, it's my best work I've ever done. And to be justified from the comments of YouTube, where it could be vicious, like they first watch things on YouTube to crap on it.
Sure.
And they see all these reviews, like, you're the best thing I've seen in the last 5 years. This is the most amazing thing. Like, it's so great and positive experience that, I feel like this, in a year's time, I will be at a different place because it is special.
Yeah.
In a year's time.
Well, it's been 6 since we saw you in studio, and you married a Miss Universe competitor. You had 2 kids. You got a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I think we probably should take the credit for all this happening.
100%. And that's what I told my wife. I said, yes.
Well, get her on the phone.
Because of this show, I have made it. I have made it.
Well, thanks for coming back.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, but you know what he just said, Chelsea, is the fact that there's going to be another superstar in the world that started off on the Woody and Wilcox show that will never come back.
No.
Right? I mean,
this may be the last time we see you.
How many have you had like that? I will always do radio.
Well, no, it's funny because the reality of it, in all seriousness, is a lot of times the people who are coming through the comedy clubs in Charlotte are maybe, well, we get all types.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are sort of on their rise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amy Schumer came through 8 years ago, maybe, when she was playing at the Comedy Zone.
I'm sure, though, Bob Saget came in before he passed, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Bob Saget was October of last year. I mean, truly a couple of months. Bob Saget's been our show 10 times.
He's amazing. And he's huge. He's huge. So there is, I feel that the people, like I talked to Joe Coy about this probably like a couple months ago. I go, why would you pass up free press? Because people spend thousands of dollars. It's literally, if you think about it business-wise, you'd be throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars away. I go to New York. I host their Good Day New York. Like they ask, because I know how to host a whole hour. Yeah. That's worth almost like $400,000. If you ran a commercial for an hour on New York television, that's close to like $500,000-$600,000. Why would I pass that up?
No, I love that about you. But just so you know, and I think you probably know it, comedians come through town every week, and the number who will reach out to me personally is 3.
Yeah.
Whoa. But
did I break the chair?
Probably.
Okay.
I have a button that I press.
Okay, yeah. It's like, this is when the interview's over. Take him out. Take him out. So 3 will reach out to you.
Saget.
Yep.
Because you guys are similar in the sense that you understand the business.
Yep.
you know how to be good to people.
Yep.
And you know how far it gets you. Little things. It's like when your mom told you to write a thank you note when you got a present. Those little things go so far. Saget would email me and be like, hey, man, I'm coming to Charlotte. Da, da, da. I'm like, Bob Saget's email.
I know.
Like, if you'd have told me that when I was 20, I would have been like, that's never going to happen.
Well, email didn't exist at that time.
Well, that too. So, yeah. I mean, there's a handful, and they are the people that everybody always, you've never heard anybody say a bad word about Bob Saget.
No.
Because he's the nicest guy in the world, but so talented. And everybody knows him, from 90-year-old women to 15-year-old kids, because of how he treats people, among other things.
And that's the whole thing. He treats everybody. I mean, it was so heartbreaking to hear that, because I would see him in the clubs. He would go up all the time at the clubs, and I would see him, and we would talk and hang out. I didn't know him well, but I knew what type of person he was just from the interaction. If you had a good set, he'd be the first person to tell you had a great set.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't the guy that shied off and like, I'm famous. No, he was all up in like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like excited for you that you were that good.
Yeah.
And that just felt good. It just felt good. And you don't see that from a lot of people. But like these bigger comedians that blow up, I'm a true radio guy. Yeah. If I could do what I do and do a morning show or do just an everyday show, I would love to if my schedule allowed it. Yeah. Like, I love radio. Yeah. Like, I still do it. I'm on Sirius, but I still do it, you know? But it's easier.
Well, aren't you doing the Yo show? Is that a thing still?
No, it's not. I do Pop 2K because my schedule got too busy. I used to do like an afternoon talk show. I just couldn't go in every day.
Okay.
So now I just do like the early 2000 station. You know, so where I came up, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, I play that all day long.
But you get to keep the chops going and stay in it.
Oh, yeah, I love it. And I podcast a lot.
And if you're a real radio guy, you always in the back of your head think, someday this is all going to fall apart, and at least I'll have something to go back to. Well, because everybody who's been in radio a long time feels that way, no matter how successful.
Well, what's interesting is why I love stand-up and why everything I told my agents, like, about 2 years ago when the pandemic happened, I'm never taking another job in entertainment news where I'm not myself, where I'm just reading something and tossing to a package. Everything needs to enforce stand-up comedy, because I've seen you'll have fans for the rest of your life. Like, who likes you in stand-up? And if they become a fan, for the rest of your life, they are there.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's so loyal to you.
When you
know?
make somebody laugh, it's a bond.
Yeah.
And you can be unfunny for a long time, but they'll still be like, but that one time,
you know why?
He made me laugh so hard. I'm waiting for that again, and they'll get it again.
And I learned this very short time compared to Joe and 10 years in comedy. What I learned is people like outgrow jokes, but they don't outgrow you. If they love you, they will sit through everything to get through that joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I would rather a person leave my show going, man, I really like him than he was just funny.
Yeah.
Because I really like him, it's going to have him coming back. I really like him and he was funny. Oh, you got a fan for life.
Right.
And that's where I want to be at. I really love him and he's funny.
Yeah.
Not just he's funny.
Right.
I tell you where I got that from. Joe Coy and I went to a show. I was on it. I was in the middle. This is when I was newer in comedy, about 2 or 3 years in. And he comes to the show, and I did good. The last dude crushed, like almost got a standing ovation. We're walking out, and this is where I learned so much from him. He looks at me and goes, "You had the best set tonight." I go, "What are you talking about? That last dude crushed." And he goes, You're right. That last dude did crush. What's his name?" And I go, "I don't know." He goes, "Tell me something about him. He was funny." Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are funny. But what I learned from you is I know your family story. I know your background. I'm leaving. I just left this club having feelings for you rather than you just being funny.
Okay.
You know, I really felt like I feel connected to you,
right,
and people feel some connection to you rather than just being funny. Because funny you can get all day long. You can watch videos that make you laugh.
Yeah.
But when you have a connection with somebody and they're funny, and that's why morning show works. That's why the biggest thing you'll hear from consultants is people don't want to hear talk in the morning. But yet, the morning shows that talk the most, that are good at it, are the #1 morning shows in the market.
Right.
And consultants hate that because it goes against everything they think radio should be.
Well, and they can't explain it, right? It's one of those things that is not a formula.
Well, I can explain.
Hopefully a good show has something that somebody who comes in from somewhere else to try and explain why things work and don't work on radio, other than just generalities, they can't really put it into a box. And that's hard, because then the company goes, but how do we duplicate it? And they go, well, you have to find people who get along and can do a thing and will show up for work. And it's a lot of different things.
Well, there's two things. I think the problem why they say morning show radio shouldn't talk is they're asking the wrong question. They're asking because I've been in all these meetings. I was a programmer. The question they ask the audience is, would you rather hear morning or talking in the morning? I mean, would you rather hear music or talking? Right. Of course, people are going to pick music. But the question should be, would you rather hear music or talk that you're interested in?
Yeah. Be entertained.
Yeah, right. Because that's two totally different. When you hear talk, you just, right. But if you say talk that you're interested in or entertained by, right. I guarantee you, they're setting it up so they would win in there. Well, we researched it, and that's what people want. No, you researched it like you wanted to research. You didn't research it in an honest way. And that's what happened, because I was and I would fight for that. I go, this is wrong. Then explain to me, like with John Ivey and all these top programmers, I was like, well, explain to me why the biggest morning shows talk the most. And they couldn't say, well, you don't know anything. You're I was like, fine. But I know one thing. No matter where you go, when Kid Craddock was alive, no matter what morning, what city you go to, usually, a lot of times the rock stations have the biggest morning show because they get to talk and they get to express their feelings. Right. And the biggest morning shows, if there was pop, rock, whatever's channel, they talk the most. Right. It was never a station that played 10 songs an hour in the morning that was number one. Right. And they hate it. That's why I think we had a falling out too, because I wouldn't. What they said didn't make any sense.
Right.
No sense at all. Now, if you're a crappy morning show, that's a different story. Play a lot of music.
Dang it. That's our problem.
Well, so two things. I think this is all going to be on the social, but Michael's at the Comedy Zone.
Yep.
Tonight, couple shows.
Couple shows tonight, couple shows tomorrow, and please, I want to send you my link so you can put it to the special so people can watch it. So the YouTube special.
I tweeted it out.
Oh, okay, great.
I know yesterday. Maybe I did it today too. So yeah, but we'll definitely play. But if you go to YouTube and just Google Michael Yo, there it is. 'Cause it's.
I don't tweet. Like, I haven't checked my Twitter. Like, I will retweet things. I'll go on. I only do it on my laptop now. I took it off of my phone.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just not my thing. My thing is YouTube now and Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. But tweeting is like, I don't know. It's so negative on there.
I agree.
I try to stay away from, I stopped watching the news. Yep. Because I feel like each side wants to paint that everything is extreme. Yep. Like, it's extreme this, extreme that. And then I live in Vegas. That's a 50-50 state. And it's the most normal place ever. Yeah. Like, there's nobody acting crazy. And
there's nothing normal about Vegas.
No, not the Strip. But 20 minutes away from the Strip, you would think it's any other suburb. You would have no idea. And we love it, man. I've never seen so many kid parks in my life. Vegas has, I would say, per capita, most parks in the world. Like, it's crazy.
It's been a minute since I've been to Vegas, and it's one of my favorite places.
I love it.
I love Vegas.
And I perform at the Comedy Cellar every night out there. So if you're in Vegas, come see me there. So.
We were talking about this earlier. Speaking of specials and comedy, did you see the news about the Norm Macdonald thing that's being released on Netflix?
No.
So apparently, this is what they say. Before he passed away, he was working on a special and was nearly there, and supposedly had filmed himself in his house practicing, and just did a full run through of his whole set, recorded it. And now, because he's passed away, somebody realized that this existed, and now Netflix is going to run it. And we were talking about, that's interesting. I wonder if that's the true story, first of all. But second of all, does anybody do that? I mean, I'm sure anybody
You mean a full run-through at their house?
Yes.
No.
That's what I said. I said, you're going out, you're working out segments in the clubs, and you get the reaction from the audience. That's a huge part of it. But Norm was a guy who seemingly didn't care as much about the audience's reaction. He wanted, sometimes, I feel like, to get silence and not have that feedback.
Well, I also feel that as a comedian, you'll get to a certain point where the audience doesn't matter your opinion of yourself on stage. What's interesting is when you're younger, starting out in comedy, it's like, I need to keep the laughs going. Yeah. Then the more seasoned you get, you're like, oh, I know the laughs are coming, but I need to say what I need to say.
You get comfortable. You're okay with the silence.
You're okay with the silence. You actually lean into the silence. And now I want to make better moments. So I'll get a bigger laugh, not just ha, 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 chuckles. Yeah. You're getting hard laughs at the end of something.
Yes.
And I think the more seasoned you get, and then you really, in a weird way, you're like, I'm working on something. So whether the crowd likes it or not, I like it and I'm going to get it out. But usually when a comic thinks like that, it works because they're so in tune with their audience once. They know what's going to be funny to their audience. Where Norm, I've never seen, I mean, he was quirky anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a great thing for him. Maybe that was his thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I would never take myself at home.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he knew a Netflix. The only thing I can imagine, maybe he knew he wanted to shoot a special and he taped it.
Apparently he did. That was what the thing was. Or what he was suggesting was maybe he knew that his days were numbered and this is one way to get this. I want this to be heard by a big crowd.
But why wouldn't he do it in front of a crowd?
That's what I said. I don't know.
COVID restrictions. He was in California, as you know, pretty locked down, and they wouldn't let anybody do anything in a theater with a crowd.
So was it shot well?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. But apparently David Spade commented on it. He's seen it and said, you know, it made him cry and stuff. So, which is not what you want to hear about your special. But
no, but I get it. I just wonder, like, if he did it at home, like, because it's one of those things where if it shot really
is he
well,
just holding an iPhone?
Yeah, if it shot really well, then maybe what you said, he knew the end was coming. And he went, but if it's just a dude like put up his iPhone and stuff like that, then it's kind of like,
I'm curious. Supposedly May 30th or something, they're releasing it on Netflix. So I guess we'll all find out.
I mean, but who makes that decision if it's going to come? You know what I mean? Like, I guess somebody from his family had to say,
had to, right? They couldn't just take it.
Yeah. It is Netflix. They have a tendency to just go, here, take all this money.
Yeah.
But somebody had to agree.
Had to agree on it, and
who had it, who knew about it.
So, I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about your COVID. I don't know if we want to spend that much time on it, but if you want to, we can. But I was blown away by your COVID story.
It was pretty. It was crazy.
I mean, I know you do a lot of it in the
less than 100 people died from it. Like when I had it, I was the first. One of the first people at St. Joseph's Burbank with it, and the doctors were like, we don't know what we're doing, and tested every drug on me, and I had an allergic reaction to hydroxychloroquine, almost died that night. Doctor saved my life, and I was in ICU for 8 days. And you evaluate your life. I mean, I will say this. In my first special Blasian, I walked around a bunch. I mimicked, I guess you could say, Joe Coy, since he was my mentor. What surviving COVID did for me, and I was healthy. Like, I was super healthy. I got in New York. I performed there the week before at Gotham. I had 4 shows. I met 2,000 people. And we were in the epicenter. That was probably a super spreader event because nobody wore masks at that time.
Right.
It was the epicenter. They locked it down 2 days after I left.
He says March.
So this must have been March of 2020.
I performed March 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah.
At Gotham. I went to the hospital 17th.
Yeah.
So I know I got it there.
Yeah.
I know I got it. This is where you didn't even have to wear masks on planes. Like, that's how early it was, right? Nobody knew. Nobody knew.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I come back to Houston. Los Angeles just gasping for air. Like, I wake up gasping for air. My wife calls 911. 911 has to look it up. Ambulance comes, take me to the hospital. And then they said, the one thing I do remember is they said, no matter what happens, your family can't come here. So keep your phone charged or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like one of those things where, man, those doctors, they did a great job. But I did notice one thing, it's luck of the draw. I got a holistic doctor rather than an MD. And he believed in not having like ventilators and stuff like that because his whole thing was like, if you put him on a ventilator, then he's going to die because his body will forget to learn to breathe on its own and rely on the machine. So if he dies, he's going to do it on his own.
Huh.
In that case, you have no family to advocate for you because they can't be there.
No, they would have to call him.
It is amazing because we've heard so many of those stories now, but at that time it was so new. It's hard to wrap your head around you being
people like when I was there, it was interesting. 8 days that place was filled, and I saw people dying alone. Like people were dying alone because nobody could come in, and that's the time where I would hit the button because I had extreme pain, like indescribable pain.
Yeah.
But they would take 15 minutes to come in because they had to put on basically a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
They couldn't just run in.
Right.
You know, so I'm sure they had a lot of fear going on because I had it bad. I I was alive and had it bad. So it was like, yo, you know, this dude. So I remember one night, the night where my temperatures just spiked to 104.8. And they said like 105, that's when your brain starts to fry, right? So I'm hitting this button and I'm watching them put on the hazmat suit. And it took like 10, 15 minutes because nobody knew how to put it on.
Right.
It was so new.
Right.
It was so new. But I will say this, after getting through it, it took 10 months to get well. But after getting through it, I found my voice in pretty much acting, stand-up. Like, it's just this sense in me of no fear of nothing anymore.
Really?
It's very weird.
Life-changing experience.
It is a life-changing experience. I've always appreciated life, so it didn't change anything in that. It's just more of this underbelly feeling that there's nothing to fear anymore because I went through probably the worst thing. I know it will be the worst thing being alive, feeling like your body is just shutting down.
Huh.
You know, and you're burning, like literally burning from inside. So I know I will never feel that feeling again. It was so excruciating. But I don't know. It's just this confidence in everything I do. And I found my voice. That's the main thing. I found my voice. You know, like, especially in comedy, like my special, I sit down the whole time. Because what I did, why I did that is because I didn't have enough energy when I got out of the hospital to perform, walk around. And then what I noticed is when I sat down and talked to people, they leaned in. They were like, oh. And I go, oh, this is my thing. It's not. Joe Coy said, you're always going to be your own self. Mm-hmm. And I found myself is just like, I don't need to run around. I just sit there and tell jokes, tell stories. Honestly, what hit me is like, I want to be, you know, besides the rape, but the Bill Cosby of our time.
That was what I was thinking.
Right? I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because I think that's my thing now. It's like I kind of like, even at the Comedy Zone, I stand up, but I don't move a lot because I feel my material is so strong now. It's just like last night, the crowd was like so into it. I barely moved, but the stories are so good and they feel it. Like they feel when I talk. I don't know. It's just this, it's hard to describe. It's like radio. You know, we all started radio. One day you just get it. You don't know what happens.
Yeah.
You just know what you're doing.
We're looking forward to that day.
Yeah. It's coming soon.
2024, they say is going to be our year.
There you go. Yeah, but it made me a better person.
You know, you got married, you have kids. Obviously, you did that totally for material. So
everything I do is for material. Right? Y'all know this. Y'all know everything I do.
Life is about the bit.
It is. And let me tell you, like, I write all the time because of my family. Like everything, especially my parents. Like I do a podcast with my parents. My parents are loved so much. When I put a clip out there, they get hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes millions of views. People love my parents because they are really, I think first they see my stand-up and go, his parents can't be like that. Then they see my parents and they go, oh my God, this just reinforces everything he does. Yeah. Because they really are like that. My mom is that lady. My dad is that guy. You know, my mom will say anything to anybody.
So are they in Vegas too or no?
No, they are in Houston still.
Okay.
But they come to Vegas all the time.
Gotcha.
You know? But my mom is begging me to take the kids out there. But it's so hard with two kids traveling. Yeah. And it's so easy for them to come over. But they just feel like, you should visit us. I'm like,
I think we all on the show feel that. Yeah.
It's like, but there's only two of y'all. You know, there's four of us. Yeah. And when flying with a 2-year-old, oh my God, Mom. But she's like, no, you visit me.
Plus, no offense to your hometown. I'd rather be in Vegas than Houston.
Right?
I'm sorry.
True. That's why I don't live there. Houston is, look, I love Houston, but man, my mom wanted me to move back with the family. I was like, no. The crime rate, I mean, they just kick down doors. No, I'm not going to a place where I'm at home. They're like, hello, we're taking all your stuff. I was like, no.
You got hurricanes. It's humid. Come on.
Vegas, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
No earthquakes, no hurricanes,
a little
no
warm in the summer, but
so
that's
what?
Okay.
Stay inside.
It's a dry.
Turn on the air conditioner.
That's right.
So
they air condition the outside in Vegas.
Texas is worse because they have humidity.
That's right. Exactly.
Texas is worse.
I forgot where I was last week, but I was somewhere and it was only like 80. But it felt like 150 because you walk out and it just like,
that's Charlotte, baby. But Houston is the same way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't trained for it anymore. Yeah. Like, my body can't take that anymore.
Right, you get used to something else. And
you know.
All right, man, we'll let, it's been,
I could talk to you, just life stuff.
I'm coming to the show tonight, so
all right, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and it'll be good. Look, I don't come here much, so... You know, I want to build in this. This is a priority. Why I'm back is because I want to come here year after year and build. So this is that first night of building, and I'm sure like in a year, it's going to be better and better and better. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you for coming in for one last time.
Yeah, and I will never see you again. So this is goodbye.
We knew it's like we're your parents and we're pushing you out of the
Yes.
nest. So we'll know we did a good job if
There
we
you
never
go.
see you again.
Oh, that must hurt. We helped you, and now you don't talk to us anymore.
You'll be the new Saget. You'll be
That's
the new
right.
Saget.
That's right. I'll
don't
be
mean
here
the
every
death thing, but
every time I'm here. I will be here.
Yeah.
He's the new Cosby
We'll hold
without
you.
the rape.
Without the rape.
He will drug you, but he's not going to touch you.
Drug you with comedy.
With
by the way,
laughs.
With laughs.
Keep in mind the other markets. So you're going to be in Raleigh or Spokane or any of the other, but call us and do a thing that way too.
Oh, I know
people
you're
push you.
worldwide. I get it. You're worldwide.
We're no Michael Yo, but
Or Beaumont.
or Beaumont.
Beaumont.
Or
You're in
Alaska.
Beaumont? Oh my God.
Yeah, we are
Beaumont,
in Beaumont.
Texas?
Yeah, so we're
I know
fringy.
Beaumont. I know Beaumont well.
We're on the Houston fringes. So
I'm gonna say a radio DJ in LA, but he started in Beaumont. JoJo from Kiss FM.
I do know who
Not
that
that anybody knows him, but like if
I know everybody.
yeah, JoJo on the radio started in Beaumont,
I
Texas.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
So,
see? Just dropping some nuggets on you.
well, we're on Big Dog 106 in
Big
Beaumont.
Dog.
Yeah, Big Dog.
Okay.
So yeah, balls to the wall rock is what that is.
Balls to that's their slogan.
Well, it might as well be. I don't know if it is.
Balls to the wall.
If you tune in for a second, you'll go, "Oh yeah, it is that."
A couple of the sweepers, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's the production is
It's aggressive.
yes, it is aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Yes, which is great.
Yep.
So anyway, see him at the Comedy Zone this weekend. I don't know where you are the rest of the time, but if you go to his website.
MichaelYo.com has everything. My tour schedule. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
So I after the special came out, I was focused in on that. But now I'm doing like till towards the end of the year, I'll be 15 to 20 different places, and getting away from my kids for a couple of days at a time.
It's a tough
It
age.
makes it better.
Baby, it's work.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's work. I gotta go.
have to. That's awesome. It's great to see you, man.
Good to
Thank
see you guys. Thank you.